Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health
Hello, everybody.
Show.
Welcome to the Real Life Health Show. We have a great guest today. It's Joyce Oliveto. Hello, Joyce. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Joyce, thank you for being here. I wanted to have you on because you've been involved in a raw food diet lifestyle for a very long time on a personal level and also, on somewhat of a corporate level because you, at one point, were the director of the Creative Health Institute, which was a raw food health institute in Michigan.
Right.
So I want to hear about some of your stories there, but first I want to hear about your personal background. How did you first get into the raw food diet lifestyle?
Very interesting. My life was changed profoundly. I was a vegetarian, but back in 1979, I was having several health challenges. I had a feeling what was going on. So I went to a regular gynecologist, and I had three fibroids the size of grapefruits, 2 tumors on my ovaries, and I was in severe depression. I was going through a divorce. I had 3 teenagers. It was a divorce of my choosing. And then the bleeding just continued. It was very heavy. So I went to an allopathic doctor. He told me I had to have my uterus removed. And I had already read Be Your Own Doctor and Survival into the 21st Century. And it was a wonderful gift to me from a dear friend. And I read those books. So at that point, we didn't all know that the body could heal itself, or I didn't. And I've always lived outside the box. And so when I got home from the doctors that day, I called Dr. Ann. I called the Hippocrates Health Institute in Boston and actually was able to talk to Dr. Ann. And that was January 1980. And no, it wasn't January 1980. It was 1980, April, that I went to the gynecologist. It was April 1980. I called Hippocrates Health Institute in Boston and got to speak with Dr. Ann. And so I made a decision that I was going to go. I was hemorrhaging 18 days a week. It was very challenging. So my oldest daughter at that point was graduating from high school, and everybody in my family was worried I was going to die because I wasn't going to go have surgery, but this was long ago. So I made arrangements. I went through the summer. Of course, the bleeding got worse. And then in August, I actually went to the Hippocrates Health Institute, and it changed my life profoundly, Paul. I never looked back after leaving there. My life changed physically, emotionally, spiritually. The tumors dissolved, the bleeding stopped, the depression went away, and it was the most profound time of my life.
Wow. So what was prior to you getting diagnosed with anything by the doctors, how was your lifestyle and your diet prior to all this?
Well, at that time I was 38, or 39. Well, I'm 80 now, but at that time I was 38. I quit smoking at 32. As soon as I found out that it was dangerous, immediately. I was a runner. I ate pretty healthy. I was raised that way. I was raised on Italian food, which is pretty healthy. We never had junk in the house. So I raised my children that way. So my lifestyle I had become a vegetarian not a vegan, but a vegetarian in the 79. My sister was a vegetarian. My dear friend was a raw fooder. So I saw how they felt and looked, and I jumped on board.
Now that was prior to or after you got diagnosed that you became a vegetarian?
Prior to.
Oh, so you were already into health. You were already eating somewhat healthy. You became a vegetarian. Were you surprised when you got sick or diagnosed or
not really, because I was so new into all of this, but I was in a very stressful situation in my life. So I was a very active person all the time. So I knew one way or another I was going to get on the other side of it. And to me, it was a God thing, because I just remembered reading Viktoras's book and Dr. Ann's book. And as soon as I came home from the doctors, I called, and that's how it began.
So let me get the time correct for everyone. So you switched over to a vegetarian diet, but you were already reading about the raw food diet. Then you got diagnosed with your sickness, and then you decided not to go the route of the doctors with the medication and their surgeries. You decided to call Dr. Ann and go to the Ann Wigmore Institute in Boston, correct?
That's right. That's right.
Great. So you went there, and
Oh,
even though you were already a vegetarian, when you went there, like, did you think it was too extreme? Did you think I'm ready for this? I'm going to beat this? Did you have any doubts at all while you were there? And
no,
still,
I had no doubts at all. I just jumped right in. It was one of them. As I said, I had no doubts at all. I was determined. I mean, all the classes, I mean, the way that we went through this was so amazing, Paul. I mean, because the first 3 days, it's just raw juice, raw sprout juice, raw wheatgrass juice, and raw juice. I mean, we didn't even eat for the first 3 days. After that, and it was profound. And after that, it was a very deep cleansing diet. So the classes just, they mesmerized me. I just wanted to learn more and more and more. But actually, by the end of the first week, the bleeding stopped. And I was hemorrhaging 18 days a month. So it was, it entailed, learn by doing at that time. You grew all your own food, got it ready for the next group. And when we did start to eat on the 4th day, it was just sprout salads. And if you wanted a dressing, you went in, used one of the Vitamixes, and made your dressing with Rejuvenac and vegetables. No salt, no pepper, no onion, no herbs.
When you say you weren't there on a single level. You were there with other people in other situations as well, correct?
Yeah, there was 35 people from around the world, and they had just finished a conference at that time with some of the best raw food teachers in the world. So some of them were still there. So it was pretty profound for me.
You called Dr. Ann up on the phone and you told her you're hemorrhaging and you got diagnosed with all these cysts and everything else. What did she tell you?
It's a long time ago, but she just basically told me this is where I needed to be. Period. Yeah, that was like, right now that was in 1980, and this is like 40 years later. So 42 years later. So I don't recall the words, but I know that we had a wonderful conversation. And I know that she became one of my best friends, and I was very blessed.
So you get better. And then now you're at this point now. So here you are, you're better from this illness. And you said prior to that you had a lot of stress going on in your life, but now you went there and physically you got better. But what happened after you got better? What was your next course of action for your life?
Well, first, let me share with you when I left Boston and when I walked out the doors to take a walk or anything. And when I left, I felt like I was walking through the world in someone else's body and mind. That's how profound this detox was. And my consciousness rose so much because of the purification that the depression went away. And I was very clear on what I wanted to do in my life. I wanted to move forward. I never wanted to feel the way I felt before. There was so much coming through. I mean, when you have such an intense detoxification, your conscious rises immensely and you have different way of thinking and feeling. And so I just felt like a different person. So when I went home, I had a different business. I had my own business at the time, which I've always had in my life. But when I went home, I cleared out the cabinets and I told my 3 teenagers, you're going to drink wheatgrass and eat raw food. And then I realized I was very excited. Everybody that I talked to, I was so excited about the change that went on in my life that it became apparent to me that I was the one that experienced it. So I had to kind of back down a little and just be an example. So I did. I became an example. And I just wanted to teach as many people what I had learned because I knew that people can change their lives on every level and also help their families become healthier for the rest of their lives, their children, their grandchildren. I have great-grandchildren now. All of my children and grandchildren they walk a healthy lifestyle. It's pretty amazing.
Wow. So I want everybody to understand when Joyce was going there, Dr. Ann Wigmore didn't use supplements or detox powders or anything like this. It was just strictly food. And you
It
had
was
this amazing detox from the food, the living foods that she put you on.
just food and juice. And I have my own grow room, and you don't have to have a grow room to do this. I teach this so easily. It doesn't have to be difficult. And one of my greatest passions, Paul, is to teach people the process of how they can incorporate it in their life. It's so much easier than cooking food. And I need to tell you, at that point, there was only 2 recipe books out, and the food did not taste good. One was Anne's and one was Viktoras' Girlfriends, and I can't remember the titles of them, but you would remember. But I always loved to cook, to my blood, and I developed all of my own recipes because I knew I was going to live this way forever, and I wanted the food to taste not just okay, but absolutely delicious. So I developed all my own recipes, and that's how my book Living Simply Raw came about. And
Well,
I put about 30 years of experience into that.
Well, what happened when all of your family members that were so concerned about you not listening to the doctors, what did they say when you came back and you were fine?
They were happy. There wasn't any, question. They were happy. And I think because of that, I've touched many parts of my family's lives for a couple of generations back.
Yeah. Now we know there was a man named Don who opened up a place in Michigan called the Creative Health Institute.
Yes.
Where were you living at the time? Were you living in Michigan at the time?
Yeah, I was living in Brighton. That's a great question, Paul. I was living in Brighton, and which was it was about an hour and 45 minutes from Creative Health Institute in Coldwater, Michigan, in Hodunk, right outside of Coldwater. And Dr. Ann told me, about Don. And as soon as I came back from Hippocrates and came home, there wasn't anything going on anywhere with live foods. It was just beginning, especially here in Michigan. And because of Don's health challenges and what happened to him, he changed his saloon into an amazing living food center, which was first called Hippocrates. And then because of the name and everything, and it was licensed name, they had a couple of years later changed it to Creative Health Institute. But I'll tell you what I did after I got home. There's so much support now. I hightailed it out there, and it was, and I had my own business, so I could do that. And I met Don, and they were just at that time, Paul, they were just fit. I don't know if you were ever there. I think you were.
Yeah, I was there a good amount of time.
Well, the back, where all the rooms are, the three stories of room. Well, at that time, they were just completing that part.
Oh, wow.
So the rooms weren't even done. I became a teacher there. Every time I could, I was out there for support and to teach. And it was on 300 acres, and it was absolutely another amazing experience in my life to be able to spend so much time there. And then in the mid-80s, when Don asked me if I would be the director, and I was the first woman director, and we used to have 30, 40 people a week, every 2 weeks on 300 acres on a river. It was a great experience to be able to live like that.
Yeah. Wow.
And see people's lives change every day.
Yeah, tell us about that. So the situation that you were in when you called Dr. Ann up and you went there and you had this amazing transformation physically and also on every level. So when you were the director there, did you have those same experiences where people were calling you up with doctors giving them pretty much a death sentence, and you said, like Dr. Ann Wigmore told you, this is where you need to be, and they came there? And tell us about some of the transformations people had.
Oh my goodness, Paul, let me just give me a minute to think. Everything. I didn't see anything not turn around. Our program was a 2-week program. And when I was, every director there was great. Don't get me wrong, but it was so fun to bring people in, and the right people, to go through, watch them the day they came in the door till how they were 2 weeks later. Everybody's lives changed. And, I didn't see anything that didn't turn around. And there were a couple of very, very, very severe cases that were just too late, and that's normal. But just was being able to see life and smiles and people transition in a 2-week period was incredible. Of course, it's a lot different when you're in a controlled environment. That's why I work the way I do with people, motivating, inspiring, educating, and supporting them to know they can do this. It's not that difficult. It just isn't. Not when you take it, like, how long did it take you to ride a bike? You're never going to learn how not to. If you're committed to be healthy and you want to see the most amazing changes, then that doesn't mean you have to be raw all the time, Paul, because everybody's not, but you can be. And the food is delectable and delightful, and it's easy and simple to make. It doesn't have to be complex. So one of the things, I guess, that fulfills me so much is to educate people so they understand what's happening in the body and understand the importance of detoxification. And when they do eat cooked foods, the absolute importance of taking digestive enzymes. Because when you're on a raw food diet and it's 100% raw or raw and live, your body's cleansing a little bit every day. But most people, the majority of people, of course, are not. I think 12% of the people, from what I understand, are raw and live. Okay. So when you're not, the majority of people are eating cooked foods. They're eating meat and potatoes, or even if they're vegetarian and eating all cooked food, you've got to detoxify. You have to take digestive enzymes. They're so important. And keeping the body moving, supporting detoxification, digestion, elimination, and assimilation are key. So I have also become a colon therapist 40 years ago, because when I became a naturopath, I couldn't find a colon therapist to give me the information I would like, because I wanted to put my clients through a whole program. So I became a colon hydrotherapist as well, and that was back in 1981 or 82. So it's a whole program, but I love teaching people how to do this, and that's kind of my passion. And I'll tell you, Paul, I've worked with people for almost 40 years, and they still come to me, the majority of them, and the ones that their lives have been changed. I've watched their children be raised healthy. So I hope that's not too long of an answer.
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. So you said you became a colon therapist. What was Dr. Ann's opinion about the colonics?
We had colonics in Boston. They had a colon therapist. We had two a week while we were there. So that was because it's such an important part of detoxification, supporting the colon, and to keep it moving, because I wish I had hours to teach right now, but I don't.
Oh.
But and I understand, but that's an integral part. I mean, your digestive system is like 70 part of your immune system, your large intestine. So it's important to keep it clean. That doesn't mean take laxatives. That means you have to have food that's easy to digest. And if you're eating cooked foods, you want to make sure you take digestive enzymes. I mean, the longer food stays in the body, the more putrefactive it gets.
Exactly.
And I know you know that.
Exactly.
So I think the biggest thing right now that I want to say is that when you feel the way you feel, when you're experiencing vibrant health, you're going to always want it. You're always going to want it. It's amazing. Once you get there and you go back, you can go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, which is great. It's fine. As long as you keep coming back, you're going to keep getting healthier, and your body is going to want the healthy things. The cells you're going to crave healthy things. You aren't going to walk through your life craving meat, potatoes, potato chips, ice cream, hot fudge sundaes. It doesn't happen. And there's so many quick and easy, healthy alternatives that you can see I get pretty excited about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is just amazing. So what were those? You said assimilation, detoxification. What were the
Let's start out. Digestion, assimilation, detoxification, and elimination.
Detoxification.
And
Great.
I've got a lot of, there's also a lot of education on my website. So I just created a new website. It's got a lot of education and videos on it. So we're adding more all the time.
Well, so that's on your website.
Yes.
I'm going to put those links to that below. Everybody check out Joyce's website. Do you also have YouTube channel connected there, or is it just all on the website?
I do. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm
Well,
pretty
if
sure.
the YouTube channel is
I
active, it's
know
on the
I,
website. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
also,
go ahead. Go ahead.
no, you go.
No, no, no. What else you gonna say? I want to
I
ask you.
don't know. I don't want to
Okay.
get off track, but I was very, very blessed to be a part of several people around the world that were brought to Lithuania to have a memorial for Dr. Ann Wigmore, and it was an incredible experience. We were all, we were all raw and live fooders, and the press was there, and they treated us like kings and queens. It was incredible, but
Wow.
I just know these experiences in my life are, um, I feel so blessed, and I know it was a blessing in disguise. I told you I felt really bad about a week and a half ago, extremely. I'm thinking totally different. I'm growing from it already, and I had some pretty dark days there, and that's not me. So I'm growing from it. So I think the same thing has happened as you go through changes in your life, and you get the poisons and toxins out of your body. There's a different way that you think, everybody. It's incredible. Your consciousness just rises, and there's a deeper connection to God. That
Absolutely.
was my experience. And everybody I know that's gone through it at this level, they feel exactly the same way. They don't want to not feel this great.
Exactly. Exactly. So digestion, assimilation, detoxification, elimination. Tell
Yep.
everybody the difference between digestion and assimilation.
Okay, that's a good question. Well, digestion, when you are, first of all, you have to chew your foods well. And you notice if you're at a raw food dinner, there's not a lot of talking because there's a lot of chewing. um, that helps more with digestion. All right. And so that means when your food's digested more, or if you're eating cooked foods and you're taking digestive enzymes, your food's digested more. So it's the nutrients in it are assimilated better. Is that what you want?
Yeah, that's great.
Because
Great.
digestion leads to assimilation.
Yes.
And when foods are assimilated better, you're having more nutrients being used by the body.
More easily. Yes. Absolutely. And then after the assimilation, now the body gets what it needs, and then we have to get rid of what it doesn't need, and that's the detoxification process.
Right. And that's why I have two new products out, my digestive enzyme and my detox product. And Victoria's helped me create the formulation for both. We worked together, but I worked more on the detox because that's what my expertise is. His expertise is enzymology. So detoxification does not have to be uncomfortable. If you are detoxifying, or just doing raw juice, I want to give a little bit of information out there, and doing detox products, it's important to drink a lot of water, yes, but you need to support your eliminative channels, and you support your eliminative channels, which is your lungs, your kidneys, your bowel, your lungs, your kidneys, your bowel. Oh my goodness. Your lung, your kidneys. I can't believe. Oh, your kidneys, your bowel, your lung. Yeah, and your filtering systems are your liver and your lymphatic system. So you want to drink a lot of water. Look up dry skin brushing and how to dry skin brush. It's very wonderful. Once you start doing it, you're not going to want to stop. You'll look forward to it. It's really about taking responsibility for your health and stepping up and doing things for yourself. And what I've learned at my age, the older you get, the more important it is to take care of yourself. So you're
Yeah.
going to have to spend more time on yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. So, doing detoxification process, which helps with the colon, is wonderful. Paul, I would love to send you a package of my EEZ product. It's a colon product that I brought out about 2 years ago. It's amazing, and that was after 40 years of experience. Well, it took me 2 years to put the formula together, but I used all my experience.
And that's all on your website, right?
It's all on my website, and I want to tell you, when you have working with the colon, digestive enzymes, and detoxification, your life just starts to change because you're getting rid of the poisons and toxins, which there's so many now. I mean, the air is crazy sometimes,
Yeah.
but also you got to pay attention to, what can you handle? What can you take responsibility for? Take responsibility for your health, the water you drink, what you put into your body, read labels. I think a lot of you may be This may be redundant for a lot of you, but maybe not. But if you do this step-by-step process and you start a detox program and you dry skin brush and you do use the mini trampoline, look up, they're free. I mean, you can get them at garage sales, but they work with your lymphatic system.
Yep.
And your lymphatic system is a filtering system. So if you're detoxifying and you're not supporting the eliminative process and the cleansing process, then your body reabsorbs poisons and toxins. All right, let's get them out. When they reabsorb them, people say, hey, I'm supposed to feel better and I feel terrible. That's called a cleansing crisis, and you don't have to have a cleansing crisis. I mean, if you are leaving in the standard American diet and you go and do a 1, 3, 5, 7-day raw fast, you're not going to feel good. So I would advise not to just do that all at a time unless you're at a facility that's going to be supporting you there.
Sure. So the detoxification or elimination, I want everyone to understand, just because you might be eliminating, you're not detoxing. I mean, you definitely need to be elimination. You definitely need to be going to the bathroom. That is the ultimate sign of something wrong if you're not going to the bathroom. But don't be misunderstood. If you are going to the bathroom, that does not mean you're detoxing. It's all part of the process. So can you explain the difference for people between detoxification and elimination?
Oh, wow. I love you. You're such a great interviewer. Well, when you're detoxifying, you're getting rid of poisons and toxins through your eliminative systems, through your skin, through your lungs, through your bowel, through your kidneys. These are your eliminative system. It's not the bowel. We want to keep the bowel clean, but that's not necessarily detoxifying. So you need to detoxify to get rid of the poisons and toxins that are in your blood, that are in your cells. All right. And so we don't want them to be absorbed. So just having good eliminations is not part of it. I'd love you guys to take a look at my yeast product and look at the ingredients. You will be, I don't like to use this word at my age, but I do, blown away. It was when I put this formulation together, I shocked myself. I'm so happy with it. And my clients I still have a practice. I love my clients and I get to observe. So your skin will change, your mind will change. The biggest part for me, Paul, when I came back from Boston, I know I've said this in other interviews, I was depressed because I was going through a divorce, and it took the depression away. And when I came home, what kept me on track mostly, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, what kept me on track mostly was I didn't want to get depressed again. I wasn't concerned about the tumors growing back as much as there was that. So it's life-changing. And so detoxification is what happens when you're in a center, a raw food center. I mean, it's major. So one of the things I love to do is motivate and support people so they understand that they can do this. It's a step-by-step process. So I do a lot of that on my website, and I'm going to be doing some free classes as well on indoor gardening. I love doing free stuff. So I want people to see that it's easy. I've been kind of busy, so I haven't been able to be on TikTok, because these recipes you can do in 1, 2, 3 minutes. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Paul.
What is your website? Tell everybody your website.
ageless-energy.com.
Ageless.
And we can start this detoxification process together. I have an assistant that goes over my emails. I want to get a group together so we can maybe, start email groups that are starting their colon cleanse and their detoxification and their detox. And we'll put a program together to email to people out.
And people can work with you online. They don't have to be like at a center or anything. They can do this online with you, correct?
No, I have clients from other states for sure that work as a client one-on-one, which is different than with a group.
Sure. And so earlier you said that you've seen all different transformations of people. So I know there are people with cancer and every disease that you've seen come there, diagnosed medically by one of these diseases. And the majority of these people that are sticking with the program are showing great improvements. Correct?
That's been my experience for all these years.
Now, you did say there are some people that it's too late. So,
well, we would have, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead. Tell us about.
We would have just come into Creative Health Institute that were just, I guess over the years, I can remember specifically 3, and you really get close to them, very close. And they were just too far gone. Even to reverse it totally, but they lived a lot longer, but I just keep thinking of this one woman, and it was really heartbreaking because I don't want to go into all the details, but she was willing to do anything, but it was too late. And she was very, very much overweight, So you get close to people when you are a director at a center and you're with people for 2 weeks, 24/7. So, but most of the stories, 95, 98% of the stories are amazing changes. And they carried it on because it's learned by doing. It's teaching people. That's what Dr. Ann's wish was. She taught people in groups, yes, but she taught people one person at a time. She took me under her wing. She took Karen Calabrese under her wing. She took several of us under her wing. And we still live the lifestyle and we still teach the lifestyle. And that's what her dream was.
Yeah, amazing lady she was, and everything she taught, and what you're doing is really amazing and a blessing to so many people. So you got into this, what was it, 50 years ago or so?
I was 38. I'm 80 now.
So about 43 years.
Over 4, yeah.
So 43 years into this, 80 years old now. I tell everybody what you're doing now is an investment in your direct health, but even more an investment in your later health in life, because everyone feels great when they're young, but as they start to get older, things creep in. But I know now, me just being my age, there are so many people that I know my age that they're having issues that I'm not having.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I can imagine you at 80 years old. You're not having 80-year-old issues. Am I correct to assume that?
I definitely am not. I mean, the fall wasn't an age issue. I can't believe I didn't crush my bones. I have bruised bones in my back because I was going out to the pool and I fell back on a step on my back. I had twisted my knee about 3 weeks ago and it kind of gave way, but I'm pretty strong. And no, I don't think I have issues with 80-year-old people.
How often do you go to the doctor?
Oh, twice a year. That's all, just to get my blood checked.
Okay. And
my daughter is actually a live blood cell analysis. What are we supposed to call microscopist?
Yeah.
My other daughter is a colon therapist, a massage therapist.
Wow. So they.
Oh yeah, she followed, and she's a raw food chef all over the world.
So how is your blood work? Any issues over the years that you had to adjust, or everything was just fine?
No, it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. It's incredible.
Wow.
I feed my animals the same way, and the vets can't believe their blood work. So.
And we have
it's you know what though, Paul, well, you said something about seeing other people your age, and I remember back years ago when I went to my 50th, no, it was the 45th or 50th class reunion. And I was just very surprised that everybody, the majority of people were so unhealthy. And when the 50th or 60th came around, I didn't go. You know why? It's like, I don't want to even see that. It's not that I didn't want to see people. I didn't want to, what's the word I'm looking for? Put into my brain the reality of my age.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see friends from my school on Facebook and I'm like, is that the same person? And everyone will admit to me, if I didn't have my beard, I would look almost identical to the way I looked back then.
Oh, I know
my
that.
Skin and everything.
I know you would.
And it's like, I hear what you're saying. And it's a little bit, it's a blessing to live this way, but the challenge is you see so many people that are just not even trying, and it's tough, sometimes.
It's heartbreaking. I find myself, I don't judge, but I find myself if I do go to the grocery store and just and there's several. See, I live in Brighton, Michigan, which is a very advanced community. Every store in town has a huge array of organic vegetables. Of course, I grow my own greens right now. I have a deck garden, and my tomatoes and my chard and everything that's growing is absolutely gorgeous. And one of the things sometimes I find myself, I don't want to lose my train of thought, just looking at some children and what's in the grocery cart. And it breaks my heart, but people can only do this if and when they're ready. Okay. So I've had a husband or a wife come and I would tell her over the years, different people come. If you're going to make these changes, understand these are your choice. You're going to have to be an example for your family. You're not going to make them do it. So the good thing about teaching the children and being an example, they always come back because they're intelligent. They might stop, get off this bus for a while and eat hamburgers and junk food. But believe me, when they're adults, I've seen it happen with a lot of my clients' children. And they come right back because they know they've been educated. So it's a beautiful thing to see.
It's interesting. So my dad's around your age, and he doesn't eat anywhere like I eat, but he doesn't eat like the standard American diet, and he's not sick. He hasn't been diagnosed with any major diseases. Now, a lot of people will say, well, that's great for somebody that age not to have a disease. That's how low the standard is, because I have another friend, Dr. Fred Bishop, who's 93 and he's been on a raw vegan diet for 60 years. And his level of energy and health and sharpness is so advanced for somebody any age. And the difference is the living foods. And I think of the acceptance of, I'm so thankful my dad doesn't have any major illness. But that's not the mark, folks. The mark shouldn't be, well, I'm this age and I don't have an illness. The mark should be, I'm sharp, I'm healthy, I feel great, I have energy.
Yeah, you heal fast.
It's a big difference.
Well, if people get their biological age compared to their biomarkers, they'll be shocked at how they can actually rejuvenate. And it's wonderful.
And it's never
my
too late
mind
to
is
start.
So clear. Pardon me?
It's never too late to start. I know people that started doing this much later in life, and they had the same transformation you're talking about.
I've had clients start with me at 50, 60, and 70 years old.
Yeah.
So it's never too late. And remember, you're going to be an example for your family and leave a legacy, your children. I have great grandchildren too now. And everybody in my family is healthy.
Let me ask you this. So how many hours did Dr. Ann sleep at night? Do you know?
Oh, 4 or 5 at the very most.
Okay.
And she ran up and down those big, huge stairs. You know what I mean? Her went in the big building. I think her bedroom was on the 7th floor, and she taught on the 5th floor, and the groin was down on the bottom floor.
Yes. And how about yourself? How many hours of sleep do you think you require every night?
I love to sleep. I sleep at least 8 hours a night.
Okay. Well,
I think I feel better that way, Paul.
And no, it's great. I'm an 8-hour person. I love 8 hours, but I'm saying the most detrimental thing, I don't know if Dr. Ann taught about this, but she most likely did, is one of the worst things you could do for your health is use an alarm clock. So did Dr. Ann have the need to get up to an alarm? Because I know she had to be up early to run the place, but she would go sleep 4 or 5 hours and get up and just wake up.
No alarm. I wake up at 6 every day, so I try to go to bed. I just wake up. Sometimes I wake up at 5 and I say, oh, I want to go back. I want another hour's sleep. Because I like having 8 hours sleep.
Yeah.
But no, you just wake up.
You see, here's what I tell people, Joyce, and it's good we're talking about it because I know you believe the same thing, is when you ask people, I tell people, do whatever's working for you, do it. If they tell me they eat McDonald's, they eat steak, whatever, I say, look, do what's working for you. But here's the question. How do you know what's working for you? And the answer I often get is, I feel good. And I tell people you can smoke crack and feel good. You know, how you feel should be one of the factors, but not the only factor of your health. You should look at your elimination. You should look at the quality of your sleep. You should look at, you know, your attitude towards life. There's so much more to determine if what's working for you, your blood work and so on, not just how you feel. So, you know, with all these different signs and everything else, you know, what do you do when somebody says they're eating the standard American diet and they don't see any reason to change?
Give me a minute. I'm always honest, but I'm not one to talk people into changing, Paul. I want to work with people that want to make the changes, but I usually bring up, you know, if the fact that so many people that have that kind of a thought pattern about it, they wait until something has happened and then they make the changes. Because you can't live in this world and not address your health issues and get out scot-free without having some kind of challenges. It's not going to happen.
Yes.
With all the toxins we take in through the air, especially more than anything, and stress. Oh my gosh, stress is the number one killer. The healthier you are, the more you will not be affected by these things.
Yeah. You know, they say disease is a great motivator, and it motivated me to change and
Yep.
people to change. And it really is, but sadly, I have a family member who's very close to me that has cancer.
Oh,
And
sorry.
with everything, I try to tell her, are you ready? I'm here to help you. And she continues to listen to exactly what the doctors tell her. And she continues to eat all the junk food she's always eaten. And there are a lot of people out there that are so convinced, even after it's not working for years, the doctors are very convincing in what they tell people to do.
I know. It's heartbreaking to see. I guess if people could, I like to try to get people through any way possible. I mean, if you guys go on my email and I'll have my assistant, whatever, we'll make a list from anybody that contacts us through this video and send you some special information. But read my website. It's very educational. Watch the videos on it. It's very educational. But if somebody doesn't want to make the changes, then I don't think we can make them do it, Paul. But I like people to know that once you get on the other side, you're not going to look back. And I want people to know that when you're watching these desserts being made on food shows or whatever, I soon will have time to get back on TikTok and start making like 3 to 5 minute amazing, quick, easy desserts and amazing, quick, easy meals. But it's not just amazing, quick, and easy. They're delicious, mouth-watering.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I don't know. You, Paul, you know, you've experienced that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is just amazing, folks. And so tell me this. So I know Dr. Ann wasn't into supplements as much. Where do you stand on that?
It depends on the individual. There's certain things I do for myself, even though I grow all my own greens. I grow my greens biodynamically. There's certain supplements that I think is necessary, and I can tell when they make me feel better. Even though if I don't do wheatgrass every day, I definitely feel a difference. So one thing I do want to tell you is I'm very excited for you to look at. I've got a new product coming out that I formulated that I'm very thrilled about, because I make raw juice and I know it's time consuming. It's time consuming for everything, but for everybody. But you see all these advertisements out, all these powders and these powders and these powders and these powders. What I've put together is a formulation that's pretty amazing, and it's actually it's a raw juice powder from vegetables that have been juiced and air dried and organic. So I'm very excited about bringing that out there, because so many people, and it tastes so good.
And
My
it's raw. It's
cousin
been
was over
dried at a low
yesterday.
temperature.
It's raw. Oh, air dried.
Air dry. Wow.
Air
Wow.
dried. I looked for a lot of companies, and my cousin was over yesterday, and I said, I'm going to make it for you. And she said, it's the best juice I've ever tasted. It feels like it's been filtered. It's just a powder, and it's got an incredible array. It covers just about everything, but that's coming out soon too, and it's called Rise. And it's
So on
got
your
some of the most.
website, I'm going to put the link below. Now, what year did you write your book, your recipe book?
I wrote my book, oh goodness, maybe 12 years ago.
I might. I can't confirm this, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but I might have one of the first copies of the first editions of your book.
You might have, because
Yes.
it's on its third printing now.
Yes.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Paul, if you find it and you go through it, Viktoras wrote a lot about the book. My passion, because I do this 100%, was to make sure, and then I, of course, with my practice, I wanted people to know they could do this, was to make my recipes first, of course, for me, because that's what they have to be delicious. They have to take, they don't have to take a lot of time at all. I use a blender or a food processor. That's it. But it's really important to know how to set up your kitchen. And I have a 10-step thing on how to set up your kitchen. I wanted people to know it's easy. The book is incredible. The recipes are amazing. So I hope you'll pull it out and look at it.
Absolutely. So there's two other things I want to discuss with you before we finish. So number one is, so you have daughters that have grandchildren now. You say your grandmother, right?
I'm a grandmother.
Okay. So your daughters, are they vegetarians?
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So during their pregnancy, how was that with on a vegetarian diet? Did they consult with you, or did they have a midwife, or did the medical staff have concerns about them being on a vegetarian diet?
Well, they were educated enough to know. Like my youngest daughter spent years at Creative Health Institute. And my older daughter, she's been in the industry for a long time, and she's a microscopist. She didn't start to have children till she was 42 years old. 40. So because she didn't want to have children if she couldn't be a stay-at-home mom. So she was an engineer, and then she became a microscopist and started working for microscopists. I'm not pronouncing it right, but that's okay. So then she said, if I can stay home, I'll have kids. And I have two amazing grandchildren that are now 22 and 18, and Terry's 62. And so there was no problem as a vegetarian, at all. She did what she needed to do, and we did do some supplementation. But yeah.
Wow. So this is just wonderful. And I always tell people, don't make decisions when you're in a high emotional state. It's not wise. This is what I tell people. I mean, for me personally, I said one of the worst things you could do is make a lifelong decision when you're in a high emotional state. And this is why, there's so many issues in the world, is because people, they make the most important decisions in their life on their emotions. So that being said, there are several things in life that people are in a high emotional state. Of course, there's finances, there's marriage, and there's sickness. These are three of the most common. So what I recommend people do is have people in your life that you trust fully to make the wise decision for you at these times when a decision needs to be made, because you can't make a valuable decision under a high emotional state that's going to be wise. So let those people that you've put trust in when you were not in an emotional state to make that decision for you. That being said, it is my prayer that no one out there would suffer from any disease out there at all. But if you are, before you listen to the doctors and do what they say, I have now about a handful of people on different subjects of life. But when it comes to health, there's a handful of people that I personally would consult with if something happened from a disease standpoint, of who I would contact. And Joyce, I am adding you to that list. because I know your experience, and I know your personal experience, not only with helping others, but I would call you, and I would recommend anyone call you that's dealing with medically diagnosed diseases, or even if you don't feel well, you want to do better. You're going to be added to my list, and I think it's important what you're doing out there. And look, let's face it, you had a life transforming experience over 40 years ago, and here you are, 80 years old. You don't have to get on an interview and do this. You don't have to do it. You could sit home and collect your check from the government and not worry about anyone or anything. But you can't do that because you had this life experience, and you're the type of person I want in my life. And everybody, get the information below this video. If you are sick or know anyone else who is, Joyce is definitely somebody you want them to speak to. Joyce, besides working with people over the phone, if people are in Michigan or somewhere, do you have a center that you recommend people to go to or something like this?
Well, here's what's actually, I have a clinic, and I built my house designed to have the lower level is my health center, and that's where everything is. That's where my clients come. It has its own entrance, but usually once a year, and I got to recover from this fall, which is happening pretty quickly, actually. I'm hoping I can pull it together enough by August to do another 4-day raw food retreat. But I do take clients into my practice, but I still have to it's easy for me to overbook myself, and I don't want to do that, Paul.
Okay.
So I will make sure that's why I want to start doing some more information and classes to put on my website so people can learn so much from it.
Sure. But if somebody says, let's say they've been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and they see this program, they say, I want to go there. Do you have the capability? I know it depends on the timing of everything, of how many other clients you have, but do you have the capability? Is it an in-house program where they could stay there and you could teach them, or you don't do it to that level? You just have.
No.
Okay.
But I do work with my clients very deeply.
Okay.
Very deeply.
All right. Well, over the phone, even in person, if you're in Michigan for daily visits, this is all available through Joyce, through the website, ageless-energy.com. I'll put the link below the video. Joyce, thank you for the service you're providing. Do you want to say anything else before we finish the interview?
Well, the only thing that just came to mind just before you said that was, if people get on the colon product, it's not a colon. It's not going to make you run to the bathroom. It's amazing. Read about it. Go to the website. The digestive enzyme and the detox product, and drink a lot of water. You're going to see a big difference. And when my juice product comes out, go buy raw juice, but at least let it be a part of your day while you're trying to be healthier, become healthier.
Absolutely. All right, Joyce.
Thank you, Paul.
Again.
I'm honored to be interviewed by you.
Thank you for what you're doing. And everybody, thank you for watching. Please put your comments and questions below. And if we have a chance, we'll come interview Joyce again. And thank you again so much, Joyce, for your time, and keep up the great work you're doing.
Thank you, Paul. I love you, dear.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life.